Did you know? In 1934, the Dionne Quintuplets were taken from their parents and housed in Quintland, a booming tourist attraction that saw 3,000 daily visitors flock to watch the girls playing. On May 28, 1934 in Ontario, Canada, 5 little girls were born 2 months prematurely to Oliva-Édouard and Elzire Dionne, Émilie, Marie, Annette, Yvonne, and Cécile. At the time of Elzire's pregnancy, she believed she was carrying twins. 2 months before she was due to give birth, Oliva summoned a doctor and 2 midwives to the family home in the middle of the night. To everyone's surprise, 5 babies were delivered. The girls would go on to be the most famous babies in the world for a time. Genetic tests months later would show that the girls were identical. It is also believed that Elzire had miscarried a 6th baby in the 3rd month of pregnancy. Unsurprisingly, at the sight of 5 tiny newborn babies, Elzire went into a state of shock. 2 hours later, she began to recover and a wicker basket was hastily borrowed from a neighbor. With a combined weight of just 6.07 kilograms, the first few days were crucial. The girls were kept beside the open door of the stove, and every 2 hours were fed water sweetened with corn syrup. After surviving the first few critical days, they were moved on to a new formula of cow's milk, boiled water, corn syrup and a drop or 2 of rum to act as a stimulant. Born in the midst of the Great Depression, the happy news quickly spread, and offers of assistance and supplies began to arrive. Within days, fair exhibitors approached the parents and asked to put the quintuplets on display. The family doctor and priest encouraged Oliva and Elzire to accept the offer, but just days later Oliva revoked the contract, facing a legal battle. On July 27, 1934, custody of the quintuplets was signed over to the Red Cross for 2 years to protect them from the contract. The Red Cross agreed they would build a hospital specifically for the babies and cover all medical costs. However, in February 1935, Oliva and Elzire made stage appearances as the parents of the world-famous babies. As a result, the Premier of Ontario pushed the Dionne Quintuplets Act through government in order to avoid exploitation of the girls. They were made wards of the Crown, with the guardianship extended until they were 18. The reason given was to ensure the girls were protected, but the province of Ontario would go on to create an entire tourist industry based around the quintuplets, raising them as a science experiment of sorts. The purpose-built Defoe nursery, built across the road from their family home where their parents and 5 elder siblings still lived, was to become the girls' home for the next 9 years. But sadly, Quintland wasn't about nurturing the girls with a steady stream of tourists and scientists. It was more of an observation complex, and of course, a source of revenue. 3 times daily, the girls were brought out to a playground, where crowds waited to watch the sisters from a public observation area with one-way screens. The girls heard the spectators but could not see them. A souvenir shop sold memorabilia, and fertility stones were offered to the public for free. During the era, Quintland would become Ontario's biggest tourist attraction, as well as frequent studies and examinations. The quintuplets lived within a strict daily routine, with limited exposure to the world and other people. Cynthia Wright describes a day in the life of the girls. Every morning they dressed together in a big bathroom, had doses of orange juice and cod liver oil, and then went to have their hair curled. They then said a prayer, a gong was sounded, and they ate breakfast in the dining room. After 30 minutes, they had to clear the table. They then went and played in the sunroom for 30 minutes, took a 15-minute break, and at 9 o'clock had their morning inspection with Dr. Defoe. Every month they had a different timetable of activities. They bathed every day before dinner and put on their pajamas. Dinner was served at precisely 6 o'clock. They then went into the quiet playroom to say their evening prayers. Each girl had a color and a symbol to mark whatever belonged to her. Annette's color was red and her design a maple leaf. Cecile's green and a turkey. Émilie had white and a tulip, Marie blue and a teddy bear, and Yvonne pink and a bluebird. The Dionne girls' novelty would be used to promote the sales of many commercial products from corn syrup to books. They also starred in 3 feature films at the time. In 1943, Oliva succeeded in getting his family back together once more, and they all moved into a 20-room mansion paid for with the quintuplets fund. Sadly, The reunion would not be the happily ever after it should have been. The sisters would not find happiness with their family. Treated differently from their other siblings, they would later say their parents would frequently lecture them about the trouble they had created. They would also later allege that, as teenagers, their father had sexually abused them. At the age of 18, the girls left home and would have minimal contact with their mother and father from then on. What happened to the quintuplets in adulthood? As the years went on, the sisters would succeed in regaining their privacy and individuality while remaining close. Marie, Annette and Cécile went on to marry, and had 10 children between them. Yvonne attended nursing school before becoming a sculptress, and then a librarian. Émilie devoted her life to religion, becoming a nun. When the quintuplets were born in 1997, Annette, Cécile and Yvonne Dionne wrote to the parents as a matter of urgency, keen that their children be spared the same trauma. Dear Bobby and Kenny, if we emerge momentarily from the privacy we have sought all our adult lives, it is only to send a message to the McCoy family. We three would like you to know we feel a natural affinity and tenderness for your children. We hope your children receive more respect than we did. Their fate should be no different from that of other children. Multiple births should not be confused with entertainment, nor should they be an opportunity to sell products. Our lives have been ruined by the exploitation we suffered at the hands of the government of Ontario, our place of birth. We were displayed as a curiosity 3 times a day for millions of tourists. To this day we receive letters from all over the world. To all those who have expressed their support in light of the abuse we have endured, we say thank you. And to those who would seek to exploit the growing fame of these children, we say beware. We sincerely hope a lesson will be learned from examining how our lives were forever altered by our childhood experience. If this letter changes the course of events for these newborns, then perhaps our lives will have served a higher purpose. Sincerely, Annette, Cécile and Yvonne Dionne. In 1998, the girls won their fight for compensation over their exploitation as children. They reached a $2.8 million settlement with the Ontario government. Sadly, Émilie would die at the age of 20 during a seizure. Marie died aged 35 from a blood clot, and Yvonne at age 67 from cancer. Now in their 80s, just 2 of the sisters are still alive.